Hi guys, it's Rishmina and welcome back to the Peppy podcast. Welcome. Today we're talking about a topic called modern loneliness, and an incident from my life inspired me to make this video. So I was having lunch with someone, and after the meal was over, I noticed that they seemed a little off with me. So when I asked them what was wrong, they told me that throughout the meal, I hadn't looked at them, I hadn't spoken to them, and I hadn't engaged with them, and that hurt their feelings. And when I thought about that, I realized that I had done that and it had been completely subconscious. I know how bad I feel when I talk to people and they aren't actively present with me. So I didn't know why I was doing the same thing to them. So today's episode is trying to understand what makes us pick up our phones so much and more connected yet more lonely in today's world. So the average person uses their phone for about 4.5 hours every day. While that might not seem like a really big number, if you extend that period over a lifetime, that can range from anywhere from 34 to 44 years. And that is a really long time to spend of your life just looking at a screen. And I think with how addictive the social media algorithms are, it's not something people are doing consciously. Sometimes I'm doing nothing and I passively take my phone and I'm scrolling, and I do that so many times through the day. And it's not because I'm actively looking for anything on my phone, but it's maybe because my brain is just used to that dopamine and I reach out for it and I do it all over again, not realizing what it's taking away from me. So I found a study by the WHO which states that approximately 1 in 6 people experience loneliness and social isolation. Now in 2025, when we have so many different social networking sites, that is a really high and really concerning number. And the issue with people feeling lonely is that you can't see them and know that they're lonely. It won't show on their physical features, but it is something that a lot of people are facing. And I think as human beings, we are wired for connection. We do crave it. And that might be the reason that we reach out to our phones, because we have our friends there, we have our families there. But a lot of times the way we're using our phones is not actually bringing us closer to these people, but taking away from our present moments. So an example of this might be what I'm doing when I'm using my phone. So I have, say, 600 people on my social media accounts. And when I pick up my phone, I might scroll on it and see that friend A is traveling to Japan, friend B is eating out in this place, friend C is shopping, and friend D is taking a holiday today away from work. Now, I don't know any of these things from actually picking up a phone and talking to these friends. I haven't had a conversation. I don't know anything deeper that's going on in their lives, but I just have one picture, one snippet, which is giving me a superficial idea of what they're doing, where they're at. And they're also just showing me what they want to show me. And the issue with this sort of update from people is that you feel like you're connected to them, but you're actually only seeing what's on the surface. And that kind of update is replacing me picking up my phone and having a 1 hour chat with an old friend and actually getting to know from them that they're going on holiday and how they're feeling and what else is going on in their life. One time I noticed when I was in university, I was having lunch and it was 6 of us sitting at the same table. And about 15 minutes had passed after we'd all sat down. And I realized that all of us had just been using our phones and no one had actually asked anyone how their day had been or what their plans were for the rest of the day. And I was equally a part of this and I just noticed. And this is not to point a finger at anyone, and this is not to say that, it's anyone's fault, but this is just something that's happening and we don't even realize when. I also noticed that there's a big difference in how we communicate with others compared to when we were a lot younger. So when I was a little kid, when we used to reach someone's house, we used to ring the doorbell. But a lot of people in our generation now will send you a text saying that I'm outside your door instead of pressing the doorbell. And that to me is a sign of how we communicate differently from then to now. Have you ever had that feeling when you can feel your phone vibrating or ringing and you go and pick it up and see that there's nothing on it and it was just in your head? That is phantom vibration syndrome, and that could be a sign that you're actually addicted to your phone. And I know that that's happened to me a couple of times. Another study from IT Brief UK found that people in the UK are online for 76% of their waking hours. And to me, that is a really scary number. And I don't know how they've calculated this, but I don't know if I would like to spend my life and then look back and realize that much of my time has gone away online. I think some of the reasons behind this being so common is also how much effort it takes. So if I had to sit with someone and actively engage and have a very deep, genuine, meaningful conversation with them, that would require more effort in me to be emotionally present as compared to just picking up a phone and passively scrolling, where I can be zoned out, I can check in, check out when I like, and I'm not answerable. So it might be that this is so common because it is much easier, but ultimately this thing, scrolling on your phone, doesn't really give us any lasting connection once we've dropped the phone. But having a really good conversation can give us feelings of improved well-being and connectivity. There is a Harvard longevity study which talks about how we can have a long and healthy life. And one of the most important factors in that has been connectivity. And connectivity actually outweighs wealth, it outweighs fame, and it outweighs high achievement. But if you think about it, we give time every single day for our job, for our deadlines, for our projects, for different commitments, but we don't really have slotted time in our days for deepening our connections and for actually bonding with people. And that could be the thing that is actually the most important for our well-being. I'm not saying that using your phone more makes you a worse person or using your phone less makes you better. You do you and do whatever makes you happy. This is just something to think about, because I think I lose a lot of time in my life to the internet and to social media without even realizing, and that's not something I'm ever getting back. And I just wanted to have this conversation because so much of it is passive and so much of it is subconscious. I hope this has given you something to think about, and thanks for listening to the Peppy podcast, and I will see you next time. Bye.